Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and this is the tips and tricks guide for Kefla in Dragon Ball FighterZ. So in this guide, it'll be a large one, so there will be timestamps in the video description if you want to skip around, and also in the top pinned comment. So in this, as always, we'll cover a lot of concepts, like the basics from the general moveset to advanced gimmicks and kind of all points in between. So with that said, let's get started. So now let's go over her basic moveset, and let's start with this move here, the Super Cannonball. So it's quarter circle forward, light, medium, or heavy, and it's your basic projectile, your basic fireball, right? So light version goes straight ahead, medium version goes straight upwards here, kind of diagonal angle here, and the EX version, the heavy version, is a double shot, and we'll talk about that in a second here because it's actually pretty cool. But one thing to note real quick besides being a basic projectile is if you have the enemy set to block it, and say we turn on our frame data here. One thing to note here is you don't recover until it's either off screen or it's blocked. So as you can see here, I'm holding up here. So negative 63 if it whiffs, right? Now, say we do it in their face, negative 5, that's not bad, it's safe, right? And if we do it all the way full screen, it's negative 5. So it's similar to say like a character like Android 21, same deal here. No matter where she is on screen, she's the same amount of negative, but someone with a more true style projectile like a Broly, so negative 6 from that far away, from this far away, it's plus 19, right? So just keep in mind the frame data is sort of fixed in that regard. Now speaking of frame data, the EX version is plus 4 on block, meaning you are advantage on block. Like, it's your turn if this is blocked here. So if you can sneak this into a, just some basic pressure, then hey, that's awesome. And all the better yet, say you got a hit with it. This comes with a substantial amount of hit stun. Like, you see how long it takes the enemy to tech out there? More conversely, you can just go right into your Hellzone super. Like, if you see a hit, it's guaranteed to have so much hit stun, you can actually nail it with it from there, right? So it's pretty handy in that way. Next up is the move so eloquently titled Ain't Nobody That Can Stop Me. That's quarter circle back, light, medium, heavy. And it's basically a little bit of a ground dunk. And this move is a true low. You do have to block this move crouching. So if you're standing and blocking, your toes will get tapped and you will get smacked. So this is very strong for combo fodder. You will need it, especially for a lot of basic combos, especially in the corner, that kind of stuff. It's very handy for that. As in the corner, you can actually combo right after the medium version. And the heavy version, you can combo anywhere on screen, as it causes a massive wall bounce, as you can see there. And from that point, you can just kind of follow up, and you didn't botch it like I did, and botch it again, but whatever. We're live, folks. But yeah, you can just run up and combo from that wall bounce, and just have a good time with it. It's also wicked quick for what it is, basically being a full screen low. And with combo potential, in fact, Season 3 bars cost a lot less. You can work with it from there. It's pretty good. Our next ability is time to test this power out. It's quarter circle back in S. And it's kind of a grounded teleport or aerial teleport, as it is indeed air-okay. So the ground distance, or rather the ground version, tends to travel a bit more distance. But what it will always try to do here is just go to the other side of the opponent, whether you're close or far away. The the aerial version that is, it just kind of goes from the angle you are already up in the air. So if the higher you are, the more distance you will travel down to the ground. There is a little bit of ending lag, so you can't just immediately mash buttons afterwards, but not to say there isn't some kind of mix to it, as with a nice assist cover, and especially if you're in the aerial version, you can kind of pull a which side am I going to land on, left or right, as it can get a little tricky that way. But yeah, it's really good for mobility, limited mix-ups, but especially if you're getting near the corner, that kind of stuff, it's a very easy, like, okay, I just don't want to deal with this, I'm out, kind of card. Next up is the Gigantic Breaker, quarter circle forward S, and this is one of her most defining moves, to be sure. So let's start on layer 1. Layer 1 is if you just do the move and let it rock, she'll charge forward with it, and it will cause a sliding knockdown, and this is true of the aerial version as well, so it's really good for combo enders and that kind of stuff. If you hold it, she kind of lets it really start spinning, and then she'll just shoot it as a projectile. Now, to get the projectile shot, you only have to partially hold it. You don't have to hold it all the way, just so you know. So if you just want the projectile, nothing else, just a tiny hold, and you will get it. Now, one of the big things about it is, while the move is happening, she is completely projectile immune, and not just basic key blast. I'm talking full-on beams, anything you can think of that's not like a super, right? When she has this up here, she simply can't be touched. And conversely, say you want to do something like a homing dash, well, you can get her at the beginning of the move, like if you get her at like the startup of it. But if it has even just a little bit of time to breathe, as you can see there, it will catch you. It's that good. You have to catch her basically on like the starting frames. So while this is happening, short of you vanishing and hitting her on the other side, she's almost like untouchable. So it's really cool in that way. So really good for combo structure. Once again, sliding knockdowns. The Hell version also really cool with like certain assists and all that kind of stuff. Controls a lot of the screen. Herself very difficult to deal with while she's doing it. Just honestly, just a really, really good move. Her first super is pretty basic, the Ultra Cannonball. So she just does a pose and shoots a heck of a lot of green energy balls at you. That's basically it. You know, does its damage. Nothing to write home about. One thing to note, however, the aerial version will always do its best to teleport to you wherever you are. And that's specifically the aerial version. The grounded version, not so much. But yeah, so if you're just looking for quick damage in the air and just quick follow-up, once again, I'll always try to level out with you wherever you are on the screen and then do its shot. Our second super here is the Gigantic Ray. You'll probably see me call this Hellzone a lot in the video. So she'll shoot a bunch of homing projectiles, and at which, if they connect, they'll start launching the enemy up into the air. This is very good for a lot of things, like double supers, a lot of weird pressure, all that kind of stuff. Definitely, I'd say one of our more signature moves, and we'll talk about it later in the guide. Our next super is an aerial-only super, the Gigantic Chaser. So it's basically if you use the input for the Hellzone, but in the air. So she'll crash right down and keep the enemy level, which is very nice for DHCing. So you can easily combo out, right? Also, this is her DHC super as well, just so you know. As you can see here. And her final super, her level 3 super, the Gigantic Burst. And I guess that's pretty apt, as she just kills everything on the screen and then goes. Just so you know, that starting part where it looks like it covers everything on the screen, it covers everything on the screen. It's exactly what it looks like. So say if you even tried to vanish behind her, she'll still hit you easy peasy. So on top of having a very cool animation, you can definitely catch people doing stuff because they can't vanish out to save themselves because they'll just be behind you and get smacked. So as far as level 3s go, very fun, very cool. So the first thing I want to talk about is the double hammer. That's forward and heavy. That's a unique command normal for Kefla. And this move is a true overhead, just like her universal overhead, forward and medium. And similar because it's the same style like Captain Kirk super fist that she's hitting you with, right? So what makes this really fun is, well, it's special cancelable and normal cancelable. You do the regular command normal here, well, that's all you're going to get. Like, you could do that and do an assist and combo and all that kind of stuff like a lot of characters can, sure. But this, you can do it all by yourself. You can do whatever you want, right? So you can cancel into equal strength, so it's not heavy. So you go and do stand heavy or crouch heavy. Conversely, you could also just special cancel right away and just go right for like any special move that you so want. But yeah, one thing to note about this though is it's just slightly slower than the Universal. So the Universal hits at 24 frames, and this will hit at 27 frames. So it gives them, I guess, just that little bit more to work with. But that said, once again here, the reward potential is so much higher. Because once again, you can just special cancel or normal cancel once again here. And like, hey, -5, like, sure, that's negative, but I'm safe. I don't got to worry about it, right? And there's just a lot of ways, like, okay, if you didn't get your hit, well, then you can just, make yourself safe and go from there, right? So the reward is huge, because once again, you can just get full combos in the corner, or anywhere on screen, as you can just easily bop them, H, homing, and just go from there, right? So big time reward and relatively low risk, other than they might jab you out if they're very close. Now, you shouldn't rely on this fully to be sure, right? This is something to bust out once, you make them really respect your low game. But it's a really nice tool, and nobody really has anything like it. Like, just a proper overhead while grounded, not a jump, right? While grounded, combo starter, and not the usual just universal overhead to assist. So, a very interesting tool in the tool belt. Okay, this one's just a very quick note. The auto combo. So she does her multi-kicks here, and the third hit, she does a super sweet drop kick, right? Please, please, please note, if you're trying to do like block strings or something, because yes, she can dash cancel in the air and like do, all sorts of weird mix-ups, right? The move itself cannot hit crouching people. She'll just blast on the other side. Now, there's stuff with that as well. Like, you can blast on the other side and air dash cancel that and like all that kind of stuff, sure. But just when you're practicing, and you usually practice with people standing, keep in mind it cannot hit crouching people. One thing that's fun for Kefla, due to the propensity of her multi-hitting moves, both due to the auto combo and her stand M, is she has, with those two moves, very easy save tags. So the concept of a save tag here is simply, once the enemy is stuck in the block stun, they gotta like it, and you can just safely tag out to anyone you want. So you can do that easily with the auto combo here. As you can see here, they don't have time to reflect. It's all one true block string. And much the same here with just stand M. She'll keep on attacking while the next character is being tagged in. So if you really need to tag out, like say Kefla has got like tons of blue health, she just needs out. You manage to get the hit to get blocked. Okay, whatever. Just tag out safe as possible. Enemy can't do anything about it other than, the usual, like, okay, well, you blocked the homing dash and the usual games following that. But yeah, it's a completely safe way to tag in another character. So keep it in mind, as you might be able to use it to save Kefla's life. One thing to note about Kefla is she's kind of tailor-made to really blow up reflex. So normally when someone reflects, you're pushed all the way back and, oh, well, we reset the neutral, they got you, right? But so much of her stuff just moves her far forward and all that, and it's hard to keep her off you. So like say we do something like this, cool. At the end of that auto combo, as you can see, those kicks connected. Yeah, they had time to block to be sure, but Kefla is still on top of you, as you can see here. And much the same like any old block string that has the mediums here. Like if you threaten this and then like there's a gap, like whatever, like she keeps moving forward. Much the same, say you want a special cancel. So I do this here, my heavy gets reflected or any button gets reflected. You can just say with your ground pound, no, I'm back in, right? Because it has such incredible forward momentum. And say if it does get blocked, -5 from this far away is not really that big of a deal. But she has so much momentum on so many of the strings and just her moves herself. You gotta really keep it in mind. If someone's like, if you smell a reflect is coming, just keep in mind your button presses, as it's not too hard to get in almost right away. Okay, so now let's talk assist real quick here, because I want to talk about the B-type assist. That is the mighty kick, because man, this is a good one. So say we turn on our frame data here, and we'll turn off those settings we had from before. So I want you to look at one thing specifically here. So you see how it says frame advantage 44? While it's not the highest block stun assist in the game, that'd be Kid Boo, right? But it's certainly up there. It's one of the higher block stun assists in the game. And now conversely, say, the enemy don't block, well then, they're in place for a long time, and it just makes so much possible. Very rare is the block stun assist a combo assist, unless it also has like a horrific amount of startup, right? And Kefla comes up pretty quick, all things considered. So basic example here, Broly, nominally, honestly, is just a character. He only cares about the assist if it helps him combo. As you see there, easy peasy, help the combo. So I can just go from there and just go into like kind of whatever, right? It doesn't really matter what I do. And just go from there. And of course I dropped the combo because I'm recording, but you get the idea, right? So hey, great. Combo assist, great. And holds people in place as well. So it's eminently useful for like, assists in the Dragon Rush and all that kind of stuff. It's fantastic in that regard. Now, of course, I'm a Broly player, so I'm using Broly as an example, but you get the idea, right? As an offensive assist, combo stuff, top-notch. As an assist that lets you get Dragon Rushes and stuff in the corner, top-notch. As a block stun pressure assist, top-notch. It's legit fantastic. Like, yeah, okay, we got the other A assist. It's like the dinky little fireball, right? And we got a C-type assist here, which is, it's about the same as many other C-type assists. It's not too much to write home about, right? But yeah, B-type assist, man, oh man, oh man. Like, maybe you're building your team around Kefla and all that, but you know what? The point character is not always going to be on point, right? You will need to use the other assists, and man, this assist is stupid good. Now, let's talk a little fun note about her teleport dash. So, in case you are not aware, she actually has some brief invincibility while she's doing this, and specifically that invincibility starts on the 4th frame. So if you are just like mashing each other in the face, you'll get hit out of it, sure. But you know, hey, what about this situation? The old vanish into hitting buttons, right? The person who is vanishing is certainly plus. Like if I try to challenge them, I get smacked, right? So about that. See you later. I'm out of there. Nope, not dealing with it, right? Generally speaking, vanishes are +2, and the fastest style lights are 6 frames. So basically, when hit on the frame, your invincibility comes active, so you can just get out of dodge. So against a large chunk of the cast, like this is almost a given. They can't do too much about it, but that isn't all of the cast. Now enter a character like Cooler. Now Cooler is certainly not the only one. But as our example here, his second hit of his auto combo goes quite far, as you can see here, right? And with those giant alien toes of his, he's going to be able to stop this dead, as auto combos tend to auto correct. And let's show it off. As you can see there, right? So he's going for the auto combo, and then he's just bopping her on the other side. That is a risk she's going to run. So she can do this against a lot of characters, this like kind of get out of jail card, but she can't do it against every character, as the people with like the very long auto combo hits here, especially the second hit, they'll auto correct, reface, and then just hit her in the head. But still, against the characters that can't deal with it, pretty good defensive tool and pretty good defensive option. One thing to note here about the Gigantic Breaker, that's this guy right here. As we went over at the start of the video, we talked about its defensive properties and how it's basically immune to anything out of range other than vanishes. One thing, once again, since you can hold it and shoot a projectile, and that projectile has a pretty big hitbox. Like, you can be high up in the air and do it. And basically, how am I doing this very quickly high up in the air? Well, I'm doing the Tiger Knee technique. So if we turn on our inputs here, what I'm doing here is I'm doing the quarter circle forward motion, and I'm hitting up forward, and it lets me be airborne and doing it basically right off the ground. Now if I did it immediately off the ground, like I got no real distance, you might as well not, right? But if you just let it rock for a little bit here, you can actually get a fair bit of screen control. You can get an enemy who is on the ground while still catching someone who's just flitting around and jumping, right? So once again here, just quarter circle forward motion as you would anyways, and then simply hit up and forward here, the diagonal, when you do the move, and then, hey, there you go, bingo, bango, bongo. You have a Tiger Kneed version of the Gigantic Breaker, and you can control space just a little bit better than you did before. So now, next couple parts here, we're going to be talking about Hellzone stuff, aka the Gigantic Ray. One thing to note here, there's a couple weaknesses, a couple of things we're going to note here, and we'll deal with that in the last part of this section. But let me show you the cool stuff before I show you how to make some of the cool stuff not work. So first up here, let's talk about locking people into the Hellzone. So the Hellzone itself, while it can be reflected as an attack can, you cannot reflect out of it while you're already in block stun. So at that point comes the opportunities. Okay, well, while you're in block stun, it's time for the mix-ups. Let's go, you know, high, low, all that kind of stuff. And the move has a lot of visual noise, as you can tell. So it actually can be somewhat difficult to see whether or not Kefla is going to be going high or low. And with certain assists, especially we're going to use here, for example, the new Bardock assist, as it has a lot of block stun. With certain assists, you can do a basic string, call the assist, and then lock someone into the Hellzone, and they have no escape out. So basic block string here, call Bardock, and then what we're going to do is then cancel the final hit of our block string before Bardock does his move into the Hellzone. Alright, Bardock's going to do his thing. And when you know it, the enemy was in true block stun. They could not reflect in time. They're trying to reflect. They're set to reflect, right? But they had to hold it, and then just they get Hellzone on, and then we get an opportunity for a mix. So assists that have higher than average block stun are definitely better. Assists that have low block stun, well, then they can't even really do it. The enemy will definitely have time to reflect before anything else happens. Now, another option you have, besides just trying to force a Hellzone mix in block stun, is just, hey, you know, after you knock them down, go for it. Just do it. So you might immediately think, well, okay, there's probably one thing wrong with this picture, right? What if they just wake up and reflect? And you wouldn't be wrong. You'd be a smart cookie, because that totally is an option, but there comes a however with this, right? So first up here is the Hellzone. Okay, oh, and they reflect. I guess it's perfectly safe, right? Well, Well, yes and no. If I do something as simple as hold up, forward, and heavy, I crank you in the head as soon as that reflex over, right? If I do something as simple as up, forward, and heavy. So let's see what happens with that reflect time. Oh, I crank you right as it ends, right? And from that, it basically becomes, okay, am I going to do this? Am I going to empty, jump, and land low? Am I going to dash it last second, go from there? That kind of stuff, right? So it's a mix that holds you in place. So if you just block, well, then you just blocked. If you up tech, you have to block or get hit. That kind of stuff. Now, of course, you could double reflect, right? But then that runs in the issue of if you double reflect, you can get thrown for free, right? Or get punished even worse when the reflect is over. So it's a pretty basic mix all in all, but it's one that reflect doesn't automatically solve, so it makes it all the stronger yet. So I said I'd show you some ways to defend against the Hellzone, so hey, let's go, right? First up, we use the block stun example, right? Where the enemy will jail you into the Hellzone, right? So I can mash and reflect all I want right now, and I ain't getting it. I'm jailed in, and then from there, oh, I guess I get mixed, all that kind of stuff, right? Well, there is one guaranteed way out, and it's pretty simple. So as soon as you see that Hellzone, just go to guard cancel, and Kefla gets got. As simple as that. Kefla can't really do too much about it. So if you are willing to burn that bar, you can always guard cancel out and just go from there. So that is one way out of that thing. Now, once again, it's a bar for a bar, and if you don't have a meter to guard cancel, then you truly have to hold that. You just gotta guess, right? But it is guard cancelable, just so you know. Now, the corner situation as well. There are some things you can do. First up here, if you want to just say delay tech, right? Now, if you delay tech, you eventually still got to deal with it, but there's one thing about it. So basically what you want to do is just delay tech as much as possible, right? As much as the game will allow you to delay tech, and then let yourself get hit. Like, actually. And then immediately tech out. So a lot of the usual stuff here, if you're trying like instant air heavy or just pressure afterwards, it won't connect. As it stands, it won't connect, and you just get the tech out for free in the corner. So once again, just delay tech as much as you can, actually get hit, and then tech out of the corner. That is an option. Now, of course, if they know you're going to do this, that can be punished, right? But that's many layers deep, and the concept of just taking the hit will let you out versus the usual basic options that exist. The other option has to deal with the reflect, as we talked about. So once again, you are allowed to reflect, absolutely. Like I can mash reflect. Hey, there we go. We reflected everything, right? Nice and easy. And then you're going to cancel your reflect into a hard tag. Like right there, right? And once again, it'll beat a lot of the more traditional options. Now, that said, if the enemy knows, they can punish it. But once again, that's quite a few layers deep, all that kind of stuff. These are just some ways out of it. Now for some basic safe jump stuff here. That's pretty handy. So safe jumps are like, basically I'll get the attack if they block, and if they tried something invincible, like say we got level 3, then I'll also myself have time to block. So it's kind of a best of both worlds thing, right? And we're going to talk about that for basic combos and for level 3. But hey, first up here, a basic combo. So let's go through her most like basic combo route she has here. So nothing special. Here we go, and we're just going to hold straight up and heavy. And as you see here, it went right through them. That's all there was to it. So if we did the exact same combo, we'd clock them in the head. I'll also say if they up-teched. Up-teching being where they wake up in the air versus on the ground, right? Hey, it'll still catch that. As you can see there, where jumping heavy has a pretty good hitbox. So, like, yeah, it loses to reflect. Yeah, delay tech won't get hit, sure, right? But it's just a way to cover a lot of options and also keep yourself eminently safe if they just want to try to go turbo on you and just go raw level 3 right off the bat. So, once again, after you do your combo, all you got to do, simple hold up, land with jump heavy. That's all it takes. It'll cover a lot of options and keep you safe. Alright, so now we're going to show a safe jump setup for our level 3. So, once again, the enemy will set to try to do an invincible reversal, and if they did an invincible reversal, we'll land very safe in time to block, and if they didn't, then we'll crank them on the head. So this one, honestly, it's very simple. It won't take much time to figure out. All you gotta do is just a little dash forward, instant air dash heavy, and there you go. And that's really all it took right there. So if they were not in an invincible state, we'd crank them in the head. And since they were at that point, we had enough time to land, block, and just be able to punish it once the move is over. Now, another thing I would like to know about the level 3, specifically I find it very interesting. A big part of level 3s, because they have the guaranteed hard knockdown the enemy can't do anything about, is getting all sorts of setups and stuff and all that kind of stuff, right? So Kefla gets a very interesting plus setup here. It's a little risky, but I like it. It's cool. So immediately go for your teleport, and when they wake up, you're plus in their face. Now, if you do it fastest possible time, that was a little bit slow. You'll be a little more advantage. I believe it can be a maximum of up to +4. But still, as it stands, it's pretty cool. Here we go, right? So we did a little faster. We got 3 frames. But basically, in this situation, once again, they have to wake up at a very specific time. They can't do anything. They can't up-tech or whatever. And you're just here plus in their face. Now, yeah, you are cornered, which I guess is not ideal. But you are plus in their face, so they immediately have to guess, like, okay, well, you can't hit buttons, or you're going to beat them. You know, you can threaten with a Dragon Rush. You can just try to, like, cross over, or call an assist, or do whatever gimmick. The downside is obviously you have now cornered yourself, but being at advantage frames and they have to like it is certainly something to ponder upon. Also, if you were looking for a frame kill setup, if you want to instant air dash immediately after you land, well, let's have a look at the numbers here real quick. So you're still pretty advantaged, as you can see here. And from there, that's kind of the exact range down medium will hit from. So if we set the enemy to do anything at all, like a wake-up light or whatever, the down medium will beat them. So once again, in this situation, so how the enemy said they try to counter hit light or something here. In this situation here, it'll basically hit meaty. There's nothing they can really do to stop it other than just block low. As you can see here, totally counter hit out of the move, right? So it's just another option to work with. It's not really a high-low mix, but it's just like something you can present on the table. And once people know you have options to hit overhead, you have options to hit low, it'll just make them really think, okay, what is coming next? Here's kind of a silly one, but she has a perfectly serviceable basic Ki Blast, so you might as well learn it. So this will have to do with the basic Ki Blast and her canceling into her grounded dash teleport here. So what you need is just basically basic Ki Blast, an assist that works, and go from there. So what we're going to do here is call our Ki Blast, call Broly, and then hey, that comboed, and we're kind of really good position to make that work. As you can see here, right? And you can choose left, right. It doesn't really matter what side you want to be on. But yeah, it's just very basic here. Since the ground dash just lets you cover so much speed and from full screen, it lets you just be in right away. And if they block it, well, by the time the assist gets in there, you're plus in their face, you can do whatever you want, right? It's just a very interesting thing. Once again, the Ki Blast, it's pretty standard, right? But with the extra mobility given, it can just turn basic stuff into very deadly stuff. And hey, there you have it. So as it stands, Kefla, she's definitely a pressure rushdown character. She has a lot of weird counter zoning options. Like, once again, Gigantic Breaker, it's difficult to deal with her while she's doing it. Like, you have to vanish, basically. Nothing else you can do other than just kind of wait it out, right? It's a very strong counter zoning tool with a game with very little zoning. Like, Broly is the only character I would ever say is a zoner. Everyone else kind of falls short, right? But it's interesting in that way. But yeah, definitely aggression is the name of the game. And hey, it's Dragon Ball FighterZ, so that's just fine. Hellzone stuff, as we went over earlier, while there are ways out of it, it's still pretty interesting and pretty strong, and I dig it. It's a lot of pressure, to be sure, and if you used to be a Piccolo fan or something, it's kind of better than the regular Hellzone, at least right now anyways. But yeah, she's just a solid character. As of the current time of me making this video, the general consensus is she's really good, like probably super top tier character. She's just kind of good at everything she wants to do. Kind of a jack of all trades, but not jack of all trades, master of none. It's like jack of all trades, master of some. And that leads to a winning package, honestly. So anyways, my friends, thank you very much for watching through this video, and I guess that is it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this video has found you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.